but you know I'm a stranger, a willing and a.
Hello, it's your dividend friend. I'm back again to finish up this video for the Cybertruck. As you can tell, we are now moving out of month 6. We're going to go into see how long it's going to take us to pay off this Cybertruck. Remember, I told you that looking at all of these guys' information, we can get this thing paid off in within a year's time. Not bad, is it? You have to understand something about when you take out a business line of credit. The good thing is that by him revolving his credit every single month, his business credit has gone up. He's probably at an A+ rating at this point. And on top of that, now that he's actually moved his Cybertruck into being paid off, he owns another asset. I understand that, you can write off your interest, you can write off a truck when it comes with the IRS, but guess what? What better way than to own it outright? There's no need to drag it on in the books for 5 or 6 years as a liability. This is now an asset. So that right there just tops everything. But let's get on back to our chart to see how long it takes him to pay this Cybertruck off. Okay, for a review, remember, he's a business owner. And as I told you before, he had to at least have a 650 credit score, be in business for 2 years, and he had to at least have $180,000 in revenue. So he met all those qualifiers. He was given a 9.3% interest rate. He decided to do a business line of credit, or also known as a BLOC, for $100,000. He only took out $90,000. Now he does have that $10,000 cushion, but remember, you only pay on what you take out. So since he only took out $90,000, he only had to pay what the balance was due on. But as he's paid this balance down, he's actually had to pay his interest payment. And you'll see when it comes to a line of credit, unlike a loan, your balance every single month as you pay down your total balance is going to go down. I'm sorry, for your interest that's due. Let's take a look at his chart. As you recall, once again, his income is $14,411 monthly. His expenses are $6,782. Cash flow here is $76.29. Remember, this gentleman here, he didn't want to throw everything into his line of credit. He just said, hey, listen, I'm just going to work for my cash flow and I'm just going to pay my bills. I've already had them taken out. I'm not going to try to lump everything together. So with him, we're just strictly using his cash flow. That's it. So remember, his goal is to pay down the line of credit. Now he's at $46,872. That is where our last video left off at. But remember, I had to take out his interest payment that was due on the $46,872. So we took the $46,872, times it by 9.3%, divided by 12, payment due of $363. Now he's at $47,235. But look, month 7, we're going to inject the cash flow in, $76.29 for his cash flow, gives us a balance now of $39,606. But remember, he has to make his interest payment on this. We're going to take the $39,606 times by 9.3% interest rate divided by 12 for a payment of $306 that's due on his interest payment. So now he's at $39,112. You guys, now we're moving into month 8. Look at this man. He's gone from $90,000 just 8 months ago. Now he's down to 39, about to make another cash flow. Once he's gotten all his income in, he pays his expenses, we're working from the cash flow. We're going to minus that $7,629 is going to be equal out to $32,283. Remember, he has to pay his interest payment on this amount. So we're going to take the $32,283 times it by 9.3% divided by 12, payment due of $250. Once he's made that payment, we're going to add that back in, $32,533. That's where he's at. Here we go, you guys. Month 9, follow it. We're going to make that income coming in, expenses, he already paid those, cash flow. We're going to inject that cash flow into his balance on his line of credit. Minus that, we're going to come to $24,904 in month 9. Aren't you so glad this young man didn't decide to do a amortization schedule, 5 years? I'm going to let you know exactly how much he saved in interest once we get done. So here we are, $24,904. But we have to make our interest payment. That's going to be due. We're going to do $24,904 times by 9.3%. Equals $193. You guys are getting really good at this, but I want to go ahead and rinse and repeat so you guys can see exactly how this is running itself down. So now we're at $25,097. Let's move into month 10. His income for the month, he paid his expenses, cash flow once again. We're going to inject it down here, minus the cash flow, 76.29 from the 25.97. We're now down to $17,468 that he owes on the line of credit, the business line of credit. I'm getting excited myself just seeing how fast this works. I think when it comes to velocity banking, accelerated banking, speed banking, I get excited when I see these numbers working for this individual. So here we are. He has to make that. Remember, interest payments due 17,468 times 9.3% divided by 12. 135 is due. So now we're going to add that on to it. We're going to come to $17,603. You guys, now we're at month 11. Check this out. We're going to inject his cash flow in. Once he's paid again, expenses are taken out. Cash flows we're working at 76.29. He is now down to $9,974 in month 11. But we have to make our interest payment. So we're going to take that $99.74 times by 9.3% divided by 12 equals $77. Have you guys noticed how when it comes to the line of credit, the difference between that and a loan is going to be the same all the time. It's on the amortization schedule. You're not going to be able to say, okay, I owe less money, so how can I run down my payment? With that kind of a loan, that's why we don't do loans. You're going to have to pay the same amount every single time. And don't forget, they're going to send a whole lot to the interest and a little bit to your principal, which makes you take a long time to pay it off. But because we're doing it this way, we're injecting all of our cash flow into the line of credit. They're going to automatically take out what's owed to them and they'll throw the rest of it to your principal. So as you pay it down, you're going to have less to pay on your interest payment that's due. Because remember, it's calculated on your amount owed, not on the whole total sum. So once again, here we are, you guys. Look at this. He's at $10,051. Here we go. Month 12, our final month payment. We're going to inject that $76.29 in there for a total now that he's going to have to owe is $2,422. Now I'm going to stop right there. As you guys can tell, because he has a positive cash flow of $76.29, he only owes $24.22. So he's going to have a positive cash flow in the 12th month of $5,000 because he only has to pay that $24.22. He owns this Tesla truck outright. Now, remember, one thing about it is that, of course, it may take some people 2 years, maybe 3 years. It's going to be 5 years, 6 years, no matter what, because you're going to beat them at the interest game. You're going to pay less interest. Now, I know you may say, well, I'm still paying interest. You guys, it's the cost of doing business. Unless you're your own bank, you have to play the bank's game, but you can also play it wisely. If we were to go ahead and do this whole entire Tesla truck, let's say he did the 7% and he did it for 5 years. Do you know he would pay about $36,200 in interest payment alone? But the way he's doing it here, he's only going to pay about $8,300 in interest. Isn't that just great? The old way is the wrong way. Paying things on an amortization schedule is not the way to do it. But remember, you're working from a positive cash flow. And I want you to remind you guys, when you're doing this, when you're looking at doing something like this, remember, you have to be financially, strong, good credit score. You have to be a person that's disciplined with your finances and all. You do not want to over leverage your line of credit, personal line of credit, or your business line of credit, because in that case, you're going to get in trouble. So you have to be intentional about paying down your debts. But can you imagine, as a business owner, you don't have a liability with the vehicle because those are depreciating assets. The minute it goes off that lot, that thing is dropping double digits percentages. But now you own that a lot quicker. You can actually write it off all in the first year. So you're going to actually have a positive, refund coming back to you. So if at all possible, when you think about doing a HELOC, PLOCs, BLOCs, just think responsibly. Think about how you want to keep your credit score good. And as you're continuously paying that off, guess what you're doing? You're running up your credit score. You're doing great because you're revolving that credit over and over again. You're paying your debts off quickly. You're doing what the way it was meant to be. I'm your dividend friend. Don't forget, you guys, subscribe. I love that you like, I love that you share, but I need you to subscribe. We want to get this message out to the masses, and it's going to take you to help us to get that done. I'm your dividend friend. I'm here until you absolutely win. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.